Hello and welcome to part 3 of Acquisition Principles for Digital Services. I hope you're excited. I'm excited. These are 3 of my favorite principles. But first, good evening, Agile Acquisition enthusiasts. Welcome back to the Underground Digital Tiki Bar. It's Friday night, and that means it's time for another episode of Agile Acquisitions and Alcohol. So cheers. We are on part 3 of this 3-part series discussing the acquisition principles for digital services. They can be found on the TechFar Hub under the Learning Center, and you can check out the 2 previous episodes in this series if you want to get caught up. If you haven't watched them, you should watch them first and then come back and finish out the list. But for those of you who've been keeping up, let's get started. Principle number 7. Principle number 7 is all about using commercial solutions that are already developed. How crazy is that? Why are we going to go out and build something new or come up with a new idea if industry has already solved the problem for us? But wait, I know what you're thinking. It's so hard to get commercial solutions into the government space because of government security processes, and most commercial companies don't want to deal with those government clauses. That's true, no question. But there are some things you can do about that. Other transaction authority allows for a lot of flexibility under the clauses. You don't necessarily have to use the prescribed intellectual property rights clauses, which are the ones that really tend to get in the way of commercial companies working with the federal government. There's also a lot more flexibility on the acquisition process, as well as the way in which you evaluate and communicate with the vendors. So it's a little easier and more accessible. So that's one thing to look at. There's also, of course, FAR Part 12, which is commercial contracting, and FAR 13.5, which is simplified acquisition procedures for commercial contracts. And that goes up to $7 million. So you can get a lot of commercial capabilities for that. Principle number 8 is about diversity. And diversity is super important in tech. Well, it's super important everywhere. But when you're building technology or acquiring technology, having a diverse set of views and collaboration from people who've been vetted and have demonstrated expertise is invaluable. It brings different perspectives, different questions, different use cases. Can't say enough. Reach out, get a solution that has contributors from a diverse group that can bring all of that different expertise and experience to your solution. And last but not least, number 9, perhaps the most important of all of the principles, get the solutions in the hands of users quickly. Lean feedback loop. The whole principle of being agile, being efficient and iterative is all about getting user feedback. Have user-centered design experts as part of the program office and part of the contract solution. And for you vendors out there, if you're working with the digital service organizations, I can tell you that you need to really emphasize your commitment to user experience and user experience feedback. How are you prepared to either lead that on behalf of the government or support that with the government if they're going to use their own user experience personnel? It's really important. It's the glue that holds this all together. In fact, if you did everything else but didn't get user feedback and get your tools in the hands of users early, you've done it all wrong and you've wasted all of your efforts. So go back to the beginning, start again, and remember to incorporate user feedback. So there you have it. There are the acquisition principles for digital services. I hope you enjoyed this series. I personally love this series, very near and dear to my heart. And I really appreciate the fact that it's out there for everyone to read and digest and try and incorporate into their acquisition strategies and their acquisition solutions. And until next week, cheers.